Welcome back to the JP Reacts channel, my beautiful freedom-loving friend. One of the things we like to do on this channel is highlight the amazing work of other freedom fighters. Now, someone who has my admiration very much so is Tucker Carlson. Doesn't mean I agree with everything he says. I've never met anyone who I agree with everything they say. I agree with a lot of what he says, but more importantly, I so appreciate his dedication to exposing the corruption that's going on in this country, where he's just relentless, he's bold. I think there's a reason why amongst all the BS news channels, he's risen to the top. He by far has the most viewed cable news show in all of the land. With that said, I was honored to once again be a guest on Tucker Carlson's Tonight Show this past Friday. So I wanted to take a little journey with you through the clip of my segment with Tucker, and along the way and afterwards, I'll give you a little bit of the backstory, how that came to be, and also what my personal views are of Tucker Carlson when I've had a chance to interact with him in person. So with that said, let's take a little look-ski at the recent JP Sears appearance. That's me on Tucker Carlson.
Welcome back to a special Friday night edition of Tucker Carlson Tonight. We are glad you're here. Now, you've been hearing a lot, maybe some propaganda, but the childless women movement.
Quick backstory on that. The propaganda, he says, the childless woman movement. Backstory on that is last week, Chelsea Handler put out on her Instagram, just as comedic, but also a lot of people interpreted it to be a glorification of being a childish woman in the sense of you have to be childless if you want to be happy. I don't know that that's her intention, but for me it kind of came across that way, and I think for a lot of people it did. Maybe that's not what she was saying, because I certainly believe a woman can certainly be happy and have a great life if she chooses not to have kids. But the interpretation of this by a lot of people was, this is like a feminist propaganda of dude, you can't be happy unless you don't have children. So just a little backstory on what he's talking about.
Lately, and how great it is to be barren. And in interest of gender equity, it made us wonder, what is a day in the life of a childless man like?
By the way, I just love the pregnant man emoji. I've never been able to find that on my phone. I would be using it all the time. Is that on your phone?
Or asked that question. JP Sears, one of the funniest people in America, had already thought of it. And he's here to show us what it's like to be a childless man. JP Sears, great to see you tonight. What is it like?
Well, Tucker, it's great to be on with you again. By the way, I identify as a bald eagle, so it's great to be a part of a protected class, being an endangered species and all.
Fun fact, earlier in the news show, I was listening because I like to make a joke about something they were already covering. It's just sort of like a comedic tactic, kind of a callback. So he was talking about Biden's inclusivity, like we're giving everything to everybody who's not a white man sort of thing. So this is my way of doing a little callback to that joke. Also, fun fact, behind me, it's not a green screen. That's actually the Texas Capitol. The studio that I was in is on South Congress Street in downtown Austin. And I guess you can't totally see the beauty of the Capitol building behind me, but that's the studio. Has a window overlooking the Capitol. It's a pretty cool setting. Back to the news show.
But being a childless man, there's nothing more empowering. And in fact, I created a little video to show you what a day in the life of a childless man is like, if you care to check it out.
We'll show the video in just a second. A little backstory on that. The day before I appeared, one of Tucker's producers called me up and said, hey, we would like to do this segment, sort of like a comedic rebuttal to the childless woman stuff, doing like a comedic take on the childless man. Would you be into it, JP? I said, yeah, sounds good to me. And they asked me, hey, can you make like a quick 60-second parody video in a day in the life of a childless man? So I said, yeah, sounds good. And then we'll show it on the show and then we'll talk about it afterwards. So that's the video you're about to see, is the one I made.
Yeah.
This is a day in the life of a childless man. In the morning, I wake up to the alarm of unbearable feelings of glorious loneliness. From that point, I do whatever I want, because not having kids empowers me to stay an immature child myself. With my coffee, I write in my journal to remind me how the world does in fact revolve around me. At noon, I award myself 10 virtue signaling points for not having kids. just like the globalists want. In the afternoon,
By the way, the whole childless movement, I do have to wonder how much of that is just extensions of the propaganda of the globalists who are out to depopulate the world. Not that they are. They definitely not, but they are. So I wonder about it.
I treat myself to red light therapy to help strengthen my narcissism at the cellular level. Then I enjoy reading about Marxism and all the benefits of destroying the nuclear family. So good. And before bed, I count my money and think about how it's the true source of happiness. Those idiots with kids are missing out. I would cry myself to sleep, but I'm a man, so I repress my emotions instead. It's amazing how much meaning you can miss out on when you set your life up to make everything about you. And that's the day in the life of a childless man.
You missed the chronic drunkenness, but otherwise that sounds about right.
I did have drinking alcohol in the morning part written into the video, but I had to edit that out because the video was getting way longer than 60 seconds. So I like where Tucker was going with that. I was wiping up what he was spilling.
It sounds awesome when you put yourself at the center of your own universe. Joy results. I think that's well known.
We all know that for sure, Tucker. And in fact, my greatest inspirations in life are all childless men. Certainly Don Lemon. I think his career's really hitting a new trajectory as...
If you hadn't heard, Don Lemon, as of that day, was sort of canceled-ish on CNN because he's talking about, I guess, Republican presidential-ish candidate Nikki Haley. He said she's out of her prime because she's 50 years old, which offended the crap out of his two female CNN co-hosts. So apparently he's off the air today. I don't know if he's coming back, but earlier in this show, Tucker did a big segment just bashing the crap out of Don Lemon. So I had to call back to that too.
Of today, but also I look at Leah Thomas. What he's been able to accomplish is a result of not having kids. And we all know some men just aren't meant to be mothers. But also, in recent headlines, the Canadian trans teacher with a gigantic prosthetic breast,
right?
That's become a inspiration for me. And I guess we have some breaking news that outside of the classroom, this teacher doesn't identify as such a absurd-looking teacher.
So earlier in the day, one of the Tucker's producers said, hey, we have these photos of that ridiculous-looking trans teacher outside the classroom, and he walks around as a man, shocker. By the way, I read an article, and people were outraged. They're like, dude, maybe that vulgar costume is just an act. You think? Would it be better if that vulgar costume was authentic? Of course, it's just an act. But anyway, his producer said, we want to kind of blend that into the segment. Can you kind of throw to that? So I didn't know what the hell I was doing, but I was just doing my best to do what I go on the trajectory of this segment of integrating the trans teacher the way I was told.
Well, that's him right there. Wow.
Yeah, I was pretty silent there because in front of me was just a dark room with a camera. I couldn't see the pictures he was referencing, so I had a pretty good idea that was it, but I was like, I don't know what to say right now. So apparently I'm not saying anything.
That's incredible. I'm a little bit shocked. I haven't seen this before.
Yeah, Tucker, I was shocked. Apparently those gigantic breasts are prosthetics. That was news to me, kind of shocking. I think this is a learning moment for all of us.
So I saw the previous pictures, that one, for example, and I thought you could feed a lot of children with those things. I just kind of a practical man.
Because of milk.
And it turns out, no, that's what he really looks like. In fact, he's carrying his milk in his hand. I noticed that looks like a carton of it. Incredible. JP Sears, Thank you for that breaking news.
You're welcome, Tucker. Anytime I can help.
Looks kind of flat-chested.
So short and sweet segment. I think the whole thing was, somewhere between 2 and 4 minutes. Doing short segments like this, to me, it's quite challenging because typically if I'm a guest on someone's show, it's like a longer form podcast, or when I was on Tucker Carlson's Today Show, it was like a 45 to 60 minute long segment discussion. But when we're crammed in and, they've got the trajectory they're on, like, cool, we want to hit this bullet point, this bullet point, this bullet point. To me, that's challenging because it's like, dude, I can't say too much because I don't want to throw off the schedule of the whole show. This is live. So for me, it's a challenge, but a fun challenge. And I've so enjoyed being a guest on Tucker's show, The Tonight Show a couple times, and then his Today's Show. Now, what I will say, first off, thank you for being with me for a little behind the scenes of the recent Tucker Carlson segment. Now, I've shared it before previously on this channel, another video or so, but I want to say it again because Tucker Carlson is someone who the left loves to smear. I mean, they say the most atrocious things. They try to pretend like he's the most evil human being in America. I think there's a reason for that. And that reason is because anyone who is a truth crusader with any level of influence, they'll say the same thing about them. You know, I've obviously this wasn't private time with Tucker, but in previous times I've had some private time with Tucker. My experience of him as a person is he's so genuine, so caring, so kind, so personable. He cares about people around him, whether it's the person, you know, serving coffee or you, and being able to like basically feel his presence in that kind of personal setting. I realized like this guy, he has a caring heart. He is out for the good of the world. Why? Because he cares. And I know sometimes people on the right would say, well, he's on Fox, so like Fox. It's like, yeah, he is on Fox, and while I certainly don't endorse Fox as a whole, I think it's certainly on the whole way better than CNN. I think he is a great, caring truth crusader who happens to be on Fox. And personally, I think it's a great thing that he's on Fox, because that's an audience that might not be reached through more independent means of distributing his content or someone else's content. So I think it's great. Tucker Carlson is someone who I genuinely endorse as a freedom fighter who cares, who is heart-driven. And hopefully I look forward to being on his show again sometime soon. Thank you for being with me on this video, my freedom-loving friend. But before you go, I would like to give a big heartfelt thank you to the sponsor of today's video, Magnesium Breakthrough by Optimizers.
Now, call me crazy, but I care about people and I want the best for people, including you. That's why I'm very proud to have Magnesium Breakthrough by Optimizers as the sponsor of today's video. Instead of being a product that has the expense of using you to boost their profits, Magnesium Breakthrough actually helps people, which I like. It's been in my repertoire for over 3 years now. Why? Because it helps me de-stress myself. I notice if I don't proactively de-stress myself, I become a walking ball of anxiety. And believe it or not, that makes me feel worse. And I don't like it. And you can call me a conspiracy theorist, but I personally believe that feeling happy, peaceful, and having a positive outlook on the world is actually good for me. And Magnesium Breakthrough helps me do it. Because something a lot of people don't know is one key nutrient can help your body effectively shed its stress. And that nutrient is magnesium. But any magnesium won't do the job. Your body needs all 7 potent forms of magnesium to help you de-stress. And that's exactly what Magnesium Breakthrough delivers. That's why I take 2 capsules in the evening, and I find I get to sleep easier, I sleep better, and I wake up the next day with better energy and a more peaceful mind. If you'd like to join me in quickly and easily de-stressing yourself, just go to magbreakthrough.com/JPReacts. And while you're there, use the discount code JPReacts10 for 10% off. Thank you, Magnesium Breakthrough.